Lot lifted up his eyes and saw all the plain of the Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of Yahweh, like the land of Egypt, as you go to Zoar. So Lot chose the plain of the Jordan for himself. Lot travelled east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, and Lot lived in the cities of the plain, and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinners against Yahweh. Yahweh said to Abram, after Lot was separated from him, "Now lift up your eyes, and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward, for all the land which you see, I will give to you, and to your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then your seed may also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in its length, and in its length, and in its breadth, for I will give it to you." Abram moved his tent and came and lived by the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to Yahweh. It happened in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, that they made war with Birah, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomer, and Shember, king of Admah, and Shember, king of Beliah, the same is Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim. The same is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year Chedorlaomer came, and the kings who were with him, and struck the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shav Kiriathaim, and the Emim in Shav Kiriathon, and the Horites in their Mount Seir, to El Paran, which is by the wilderness. They returned and came to En Mishpat, the same is Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, that lived in Hazazon Tamar. The king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboyim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zoar, went out, and they set the battle in array against them in the valley of Siddim, against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, and Amraphel, king of Goyim, and Amraphel, king, Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against the 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and they fell there, and those who remained fled to the hills. They took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their food, and went their way. They took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who lived in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. One who had escaped came and told Abram, the Hebrew. Now he lived by the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Anna. And these were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his relative was taken captive, he led out his trained men, born in his house, 318, and pursued as far as Dan. He divided himself against them by night, he and his servants, and struck them, and pursued them to Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. He brought back all the goods, and also brought back his relative Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the people. The king of Sodom went out to meet him, after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him at the valley of Shavhav, that is, the king's valley. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, and he was priest of God Most High. He blessed him, and said, "Blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." Abram gave him 1/10 of all. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me the people, and take the goods to yourself." Abram said to the king of Sodom, "I have lifted up my hand to Yahweh, God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread nor a sandal strap, nor anything that is yours, lest you should say, 'I have made Abram rich.' I will accept nothing from you except that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. After these things the word of Yahweh came to Abram in a vision, saying, Don't be afraid, Abram, I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward. Abram said, Lord Yahweh, what will you give me, since I go childless? And he who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus. Abram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and behold, one born in my house is my heir. Behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, This man will not be your heir, but he who will come out of your own body will be your heir. Yahweh brought him outside and said, Look now toward the sky and count the sky, and count the stars, if you are able to count them. He said to Abram, So shall your seed be. He believed in Yahweh, and he reckoned it to him for righteousness. He said to him, I am Yahweh who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give you this land to inherit it. He said, Lord Yahweh, how will I know that I will inherit it? He said to him, Bring me a heifer 3 years old, a female goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. He brought him all of these, and divided them in the middle, and laid each half opposite the other. But he didn't divide the birds. The birds of prey came down on the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram. Now terror and great darkness fell on him. He said to Abram, Know for sure that your seed will live as foreigners in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them. They will afflict them 400 years. I will also judge that nation whom they will serve. Afterward they will come out with great wealth, but you will come out with great wealth, but you will go to your fathers. In peace, you will be buried in a good old age. In the 4th generation they will come here again, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. It came to pass that, when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. In that day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your seed I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Kerizzites, the Kerizzites, the Kithites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children. She had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, See now, Yahweh has restrained me from bearing. Please go into my handmaid. It may be that I will obtain children by her. Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her handmaid, after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abram her husband to be his wife. He went into Hagar, and she conceived. When she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. Sarai said to Abram, This wrong is your fault. I gave my handmaid into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahweh judge between me and you. But Abram said to Sarai, Behold, your maid is in your hand. Do to her whatever is good in your eyes. Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her face. The angel of Yahweh found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain on the way to Shur. He said, Hagar, Sarai's handmaid, where did you come from? Where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from the face of my mistress Sarai. The angel of Yahweh said to her, Return to your mistress, and submit yourself under her answer. The angel of Yahweh said to her, I will greatly multiply your seed, that they will not be numbered for multitude. The angel of Yahweh said to her, Behold, you are with child, and will bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh has heard your affliction. He will be like a wild donkey among men. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. He will live opposite all of his brothers. She called the name of Yahweh, who spoke to her, You are a God who sees. For she said, Have I even stayed alive after seeing him? Therefore the well was called Beer Lahai Roi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Berit. Hagar bore a son for Abram. Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. When Abram was 99 years old, Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. Abram fell on his face. God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, You will be the father of a multitude of nations. Neither will your name any more be called Abram, but your name will be Abraham, for I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you. Kings will come out of you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you throughout their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God to you and to your seed after you and to your seed after you, and to your seed after you, and to your seed after you, the land where you are traveling, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. I will be their God. God said to Abraham, as for you, you will keep my covenant, you and your seed after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your seed after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin. It will be a token of the covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old will be circumcised among you, every male throughout your generations. He who is born in the house or bought with money from any foreigner who is not of your seed, he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money must be circumcised. My covenant will be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. The uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant.